republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Was there any comments? Thank you, Heather. Thank you guys all for coming. You can follow along with the agenda on the board if you would like. So the first thing on our agenda is the approval of the agenda with additional bills.
I would move to approve the agenda with additional bills.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? Or the additional bills? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. All right, next we have our good things happening and our monthly good news.
Yes, the monthly good news on the PowerPoint that Heather puts together, that's kind of ongoing, they can see that online, and then you have a couple additional ones to that.
Yes, we can have Cedric, please join us.
Come up, kind of explain a little bit about your certification and the process you went through, so tell them what it is, maybe?
Sure. Hello, Cedric Philo, Wheeling AD. So I recently received my athletic administrator certificate. Basically what that is continuing education for athletic directors. It's a multi-year process, and within this process, I had to take 6 courses, I believe, and the courses now they're more available online, so maybe it's not necessarily going to be a multi-year process for some. I did most of my courses in person. I could do them like at state scheduling. There was always a couple coaches association meeting. There was some. I went to San Antonio for the National Athletic Directors Conference, and you can do them there. So basically, those courses are a part of it, and then the work that you do as an AD is the other part of the process. So you have to score so many points to be able to take an exam. The courses are a certain amount of points, and then when we host regional events or other events like that, that accumulates points for the athletic director, showing that you've gone through this process. And so, long story short, I made it through, and I don't remember how many points I was sitting at, but it allowed me to take the exam, and this summer I took the exam and I passed. So I get to have AAC on the end of my name.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So, peak high school graduation, Cedric, do you want to wait on that?
Yeah, I don't see my graduate here yet, so.
Slip them in, just maybe let us know.
Yeah.
In place.
That would be fine.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sure.
And next is correspondence, and we have none. No visitors' comments, so we will move to item 6, consent agenda. And with the minutes, the claims, and the grants donations, what would be the wishes of the board for the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda. I will second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. All of those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. Next, we'll go into information items. Mr. Superintendent.
So we have a couple of people that are gonna report today. Cedric, you wanna come back up and talk a little bit about fall activities and athletics?
I had to take some notes on this one. So I can't give you middle school numbers quite yet. Football started today, volleyball starts Wednesday for middle school, and cross country, I believe, started today. High school started a week ago, so they've been going through practice for a week now. So currently, numbers wise, at the high school level, cross country has 6 kids out. We usually catch a couple more when the school year starts. Sometimes it's hard to, especially for those individual sports where you're having to run and stuff like that every day. The kids don't wanna start until school starts, so we'll probably catch a couple more once school starts. Cheer, we're setting at about 7 kids, so that's down a little bit, but once again, with that one, we catch a couple kids when school starts usually. One that's up a lot, golf, we have 20 kids out. So, typical golf tournament, you're gonna take, some will allow 7, some allow 5 to get in. Boys score 4, girls score 3, so having 20 kids, that's a lot of kids that are not able to attend the varsity tournaments, so we've actually been able to have a couple JV tournaments this year. Let's see, volleyball is setting at 32 kids. It's a pretty decent number for 3 teams. So we shouldn't have any issues filling a full schedule with that. Football is set at 39. I think I told you 43, it's 39. Once again, with anything, we usually catch a couple kids, either they didn't do their physical or they're waiting for the beginning of the school year to start, so. The one that will probably surprise you, that it actually doesn't surprise me much, but our activity with the most kids in it, 20% of the student population at Wheatland High School is participating in band. They're sitting at 57 kids. And about 5 or 6 of those right now, they're middle school kids, like 8th graders coming up to participate with the high schoolers. So you're talking 50 Wheatland High School kids. So when we have band practice and the lights are on at night, that is why we have 50 kids that we're accommodating for that, so.
Nice.
Any questions?
I saw him out there with the fire truck. Didn't we get a little
Yeah, that was their Hawaiian day, and the next day I decided to wear Hawaiian, and they were like, you were wearing this on the wrong day. So I didn't get to get sprayed by that. They did, it was warm.
And that was during their
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Oh, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah.
Just for your own edification, just came away from the middle school football field. 21 or 23, cause they were kind of moving kind of quick there for a little bit, so something like that, just, I'm sure Coach Sager will have some numbers, but I couldn't get a full count on them with that much activity.
They must be friends.
Things holding up over their heads and running the goalposts and it's crazy, but it's all good, all good.
So the thing at the middle school level that we've been struggling with a little bit is numbers. Traditionally, we've had like a 7th A and B and an 8th A and B for volleyball. Football, we've had a 7th grade team and an 8th grade team. When you start, like we pull the 7th graders aside and there's 9 of them, it's really hard to fulfill a 7th grade schedule with 9 kids, because then you have to pull a couple 8th graders. And then, then if you have 13 8th graders or whatever, you might be able to play that schedule. So we kind of combine teams and we're playing a game, and sometimes we could play a couple extra quarters to get some other kids reps that maybe weren't in the main game. Volleyball, we have kind of started doing an ABC format. So top kids are on the A team, middle level kids are B, and then the lower skilled kids are on C. So like when we play at Torrington, they might have 7th grade ABC. So sometimes scheduling can be tough with that because teams are looking to get games and we have 3 levels to play them. So same with like at Douglas, when we play at Burns or Pine Bluffs, they play an ABC schedule also. So we're able to better align with them. So we lose some games from time to time with different things because of the ABC format. So and then when you get to conference time, you have a 7th grade conference tournament and then 8th grade conference tournament in different location. It can be tough on coaches, and I think we have a plan for that, but when it gets to those times, it's a little bit tougher to play, that AD conference tournament. So we might only play an A, depending on the number of kids at the level.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Let's see, next I have Shannon Brow, our special education director. She would come up and talk a little bit about the transition program.
Okay, so we've never had, Shannon Brow, sorry, Special Education Director. We've never had an 18 to 21 transition program in Plat 1, at least not in recent history. I'm not gonna say way back in the day they didn't, but recent history. We have done training on campus, those kind of things, but not a separate program for Plat 1. So I'm just gonna give you a little history so you understand where we're coming from. I believe you guys each had this document, so you're aware kind of where we went with the State Department. So years ago, we rented a house from one chapter on the other side of the high school. We called it the Little White House. And the intensive ed teacher at the time took her students over there. It really wasn't used for the 18 to 21 program. It was used for the intensive ed classroom. They did the Espresso on the Go, that was the name I was looking for. They did Espresso on the Go, and they did things over there to meet some of those requirements in those IEPs. 10 to 15 years ago, that went away. That house was no longer rented, and so we've been without some kind of opportunity for our students for quite a while to do that for the 18 to 20 program. We tried multiple options. We tried Piccadilly when they tried to sell the house down there. I tried to purchase that in the state, said I couldn't. We've looked at our other rentals. They were about the same cost, but not as big of options. Apartments, we have a lot and a half that Stephen McGuire is gonna rent us. So it has 2 bedrooms. We can make one a classroom. The other one is an actual bedroom where they can learn how to make their bed, put their clothes away, just how to keep a house and how to run a house. They'll help pay bills. I mean, bills will already be paid, but we'll do like fake checks where they can write the checks out, go pay their bills, those kind of things. So they're getting those real life experiences. They'll also go to work. We'll help with that kind of transportation along with doctors, medicine, those kind of, any way we can support them with that transition to that post-high school education. We had to go through the WDE because this is grant funded through my 6B fund grant. We had 3 people at the state level approve this before I can even bring it to John or to you guys, that I can even use the grant money. So the 3 people that approved it was Deb Montoya. She's the financial analyst at the State Department. She runs the 6B branch. I have to, most of my stuff that I purchase, I have to go to her. Margie Robertson, she's my state sped director, along with Sheila Kamala, and she's the monitoring team. So like when we do our grant monitoring and stuff, she's part of that, so I had to get approval for them before I could even bring it to this level for approval with you guys. So some of the things, going back to Stephen, the landlord, some of the things that have happened is when he purchased the house last summer, they completely cleaned it out, gutted it. This summer, they put a new roof on it, they finished the inside, so everything's pretty fresh and new in the house. Anything that we need done to it, he's open to supporting the program. We've looked at putting a greenhouse together before in the past. I do have tentative approval on that from the state if we had a place to put it. I visited with Stephen whether he'd be open to that, and he says, we have a lot now, you're welcome to do what the program needs. So he's supportive of what we wanna do. It's only 3 blocks from the high school, so the kids can walk to it as part of their program. If they start here, like ride a bus or something to school, then they can walk to the house. This is something that the state and the federal governments are starting to push more. Wyoming Department of Ed even put together, it's called Community of Practice Group. It was a state group of people who work with transition after high school, that's 18 to 21. Karen Thayer's gonna be in charge of this. She went to all their meetings via Zoom this last year, so she'd be prepared for this going forward. She's done a lot of the groundwork and getting things ready to go for our students that will be accessing our 18 to 21 program. And she has named it, as you said, the Summit Community Transition Program. So still trying to go with that reach the peak kind of idea, but using the summit so we don't get it confused with Peak High School. So people know what you're talking about when you're talking about the transition program for platform. Any
So,
questions?
one more time, Summit.
Summit Community Transition Center. Any other questions?
Approximately how many kids do you anticipate servicing, and how many, what's the maximum that you could service? If
We'll
you
have about 5 is what we're looking at. Could have as little as one class period and as many as probably 6 in another class period. Just depends on class period in all honesty, and the time of day. We have one student who works from, well, I don't know yet, it's gonna be 8 to 1 or 9 to 2. But they will then access it after they come back from work. They will access that program. So some of these kids are going out and working and then coming back for their special education services and this transition service as well.
Shannon, is it available from 14 all the way through 21?
Right now, the summit program is 18 to 21, but we're also going to, some of the services will be provided 14 to 21 here. So they'll get the same services. We have 14 to 21, we have a group that will be 5 of them all at once that will access it, so not at the house at this point, we'll build to that. Eventually, yes, they will go down there and use it, but I don't think we will this year. We'll build to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
Questions? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
So we might jump back up for the graduation from Peak High School, is that right?
Alright, so I get the pleasure of introducing to you Andrea Grimes. She has put in a lot of time this summer to make this happen. She's put in a lot of time all the way up to this point. If you would have asked me at the end of the school year, we'd be standing here in the summer, I was like, ooh, it's gonna be close. But she persevered and nose to the grindstone. She finished 4 courses over summer school. And there were a couple more that she was partially finished with throughout the school year that she finished over summer school. So she really worked her tail off throughout summer school. So it was really a really awesome thing to see. Along with what Andrea did, there was a couple staff members along the way that put in some extra time, even after school hours and a little past summer school to make it happen, because she was so close. So I wanna give those people a little round of applause for putting in extra time. But at this time, Superintendent Waggle, Madam Chairman Lay, members of the board, Andrea Grimes has met the requirements for graduation set forth by you. So I give you Peak High School graduate, Andrea Grimes.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good hard work.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You got it.
Sister Philo.
Take it to work. My camera broke.
Am I blocking?
No, you're fine.
I bet.
All right. Thank everyone for their patience.
I told her 5
Thank you,
minutes.
Mrs. Leathers,
Yes.
for staying after with me for so long. Hi, Miss Raphael.
Hi. Good job.
Okay, next I have Ryan Gonzalez is gonna come and talk a little bit about payments. Maybe you have to put in your password so you can see the agenda when you're done.
I can do that.
You do your report first.
Okay. Sit down. Just got back from Casper from our JV golf tournament. We did great. I'm super proud of them. Okay, and I had to take notes as well. Ryan Gonzalez, acting facility supervisor. We just hired somebody and he started this week, so we'll get him up to speed and hit the ground running. Some of the things that we did this summer, track resurfacing, which went off great. The track looks good. If you happen to join us the other morning for our wellness walk, I noticed that it looked really good, minus the spots where we threw the grass on the track, but that's gonna happen. Over the summer, during the wet weather, we had a few buildings with that we had. A couple of items that were damaged that we had to take care of is up in Glendo, the old Glendo gym had damaged floor. And the remedy so far was to just rip up the floor so it wasn't a tripping hazard and shut the building off as a crosswalk. We do have an additional gym, and so for the time being, that is closed. Another building that had water intrusion was Peak High School, and we determined that the slope of the ground where the ecology area and the pond is, and the gutters, when we cleaned the gutters, we thought the gutters were clogged at first, we cleaned them and you could actually see daylight through them. So the gutters were completely worthless, we replaced those, which also we feel like in Glendo, that's probably some of the same issues that we're having with water intrusion, is that the gutter system is just old, galvanized, and that's one of those things that we're gonna have to put on our plan to have replaced, and probably throughout the district. It's been a long time since we've had anyone replacing gutters, and that needs to be something that we look for in the future. Another item that was up for replacement was the Glendo Playground substrate. The last couple weeks, we've had 8 truckloads of pea gravel hauled in and spread out throughout the playground, which got us up to code. And hopefully it will make things a lot safer for our kiddos. Another future item that I would like us to tackle is just making sure that we are inspecting our playgrounds and that, you know, our play areas are safe for our kids. One of the last few storms that we've had, I don't know, it seems like it's been 3 weeks since it's rained, but we had a pretty good lightning storm that actually burned out several modules on the West Elementary fire alarm. Thank you, Mr. Waring, for handling a lot of those phone calls because it's not fun. But we did have a company come in and replace those modules and get the system straightened out. There's still a few kinks in there, a few settings that need to be tweaked where that thing isn't constantly calling us saying there's trouble or there's a fire. But hopefully we get that straightened out. The last 2 weeks, I've had a vendor up doing summer boiler maintenance, identifying areas that we need to fix, boilers that are hitting end of life. And so again, we'll probably need to put that onto a plan to where we can make sure that the boilers that are aging out get replaced. And last but not least, we did have a meeting with contractors and our architects for the WMS roof component project. That was 2 weeks ago. On Friday, we had 4 out-of-state contractors show up. I don't know what we got for bids. 3 bids, so one of the contractors decided not to bid. But that seems to be moving forward on time. That's a project that's not gonna be started until next summer, so the end of school year, we're hoping to kick that off and have it completed by the beginning of next school. Okay, any questions?
All the gutter work, can you tie that in with the roofing on the middle school?
So the middle school, yes, we would leave that alone and let the gutters be replaced with the roof.
From all the other places that you,
Just for that
just there,
school,
you can't
yeah.
do the gutters.
No,
over here like that.
one of the things though, as long as we're replacing the gutters, major maintenance will pay for it. So, that should not come out of general fund.
And the contractors that bid on the middle school, we didn't have anybody from in-state.
No.
I wanna thank Ryan, he's been taking care of all of our maintenance plus doing technology.
amazing,
We're
yeah.
doing both the transition and
Thank you.
our new maintenance person was working today, it was his first day today, so Ryan will have a chance to work with him a little more tomorrow and get him on board. So I wanna thank Ryan, he's done a lot of good work for the district, so thank you. The next one is a program called Adopt a Board Member. I talked to the school board about being involved in the district by having one place they would feel like they're part of, and we just call it Adopt a Board Member. So we did a little blind drawing during a work session and pulled out names of our board members, and they'll be connected either to a school or a department. So part of the things we talked about would be how can you build relationships with our administrative team? How can you reach out and talk to staff members who are actually there in the buildings or departments? It just gives you a reason why you're in a school. I know some of the board members are in and out of our schools anyway, but this gives you kind of a purpose to actually be in the school, talk to staff, and kind of have an open dialogue with how's it going? What are some things you'd like to have the board be aware of? Hopefully they're invited there for staff meetings, celebrations, anything with the school, so the principals would kind of step up and put them on their invite list and invite them in. Our plan is to do this for a full year, and then after the next year, hopefully they would train and go to a different location, maybe a different blind drawing, and exclude you from the school you were just at. So I think it's gonna be a positive program. So it's adopted, or like Amanda said earlier, I'm your adopted board member at Glendo and maybe at Peak, but this is an adopted board member. So this is kind of the people and who they're connected to. So Libby's gonna be Chase. Wes will be Dustin. Wheeland Middle School will be Diane. Wheeland High School will be Connie. Pete Glendo will be Amanda. Special Education will be Lou. Food Service, Transportation, Maintenance, and Technology will all be Sean. So we're pretty excited about see how this works out. I think it does open the communications up a little bit from board members to our administrative group and to our staff. So we can start that moving forward after today. All right. I think my last thing, I had a couple things just on the goals, summer goals. There were 5 goals that we talked about. The first one, listen, learn, observe, build relationships. I think that's kind of ongoing through the year. That's not just during the summer. One goal is to get up to speed with the Chugwater charter school and facilitate a possible lease. I think we're right there tonight with that being on our action item list. Review open positions, we're really looking at some certified positions, I think those all fell in place. We're setting pretty good, we do have one nursing position still open, but I think we can run it with Tammy. But it'd be nice to have a second nurse, so I think that's still something we'd be looking for. But that I guess comes to an end too. In terms of the budget was another kind of goal area, and I think we continue to look at priorities from the past and future adjustments. Jamie and I have been working a little bit about how can we leverage grants and try to save some general fund money. That was kind of our focus as we go through some of the grants that are out there and some of the money that's available. So that's gonna be ongoing. And then provide clear communication to the school board. I continue to do those board updates and I hope they're valuable for you guys.
Very much so.
So that's the end of my report.
Alright, thank you. Alright, so next we'll have board committee reports, and I think the only one that is met is Amanda and Dustin on the superintendent evaluation. Do you guys wanna say anything about it?
So, my handy dandy paper with my notes that I read off the other day of what I was gonna say is at home with the grocery list, so, if I forget something, by all means, interject. So we met last week, including Josh Sandlin, to reconfigure the superintendent evaluation. Obviously haven't been through that, so, but it just felt needed updated, that it maybe wasn't as efficient as it could be. So when we met last week with Mr. Weigel's assistance, brought in 6 options of different districts in WSBA, our own one, a previous employer of his. We took a look at those and we picked one and went over discussion of how the evaluation has worked in the past, how we would like to maybe see it work going forward. And then we are going to meet again on the 31st and discuss, 31st, and discuss, we'd like to put some of those questions out of the format that we picked together to send to the admin team and directors to fill out prior to. So, you know me, I like a calendar, so we set some dates. So we're gonna meet on the 31st, formulate that, and then hopefully, knock on wood, we should be ready to roll by September meeting, because by policy, we have to do a superintendent evaluation and executive session by October. So,
That's great.
hopefully,
The 31st of this month, is that fall round?
yep, we're working around that.
Okay.
So yeah, I would just like to say just a little bit on there, as far as how we reach consensus to the format we think is gonna work the best. Obviously, there is no evaluation tool really out there for an interim kind of thing. So we have a really interesting opportunity here to not only play the interim piece, but is that one to roll onto somebody at the end of the interim term into that more sustainable piece. But really, the WSBA's template actually meets the requirements for both really well. There are a few tweaks, just some of the first purpose statements and some of those kinds of things that we'll go over a little bit later as those come out of the front side of that. It's actually the best of all worlds that we took a look at. It really covers what we're looking to do. And so that we just kind of quickly came to a consensus on like, yeah, this is gonna cover it. So we'll work on its format, what some of those questions look like. It allows us to delve off into certain areas a little more than others. We'll have to work ourselves through that too. What's more important in this interim term versus what it would be like if there is a full-time, long-term superintendent kind of situation, so it'll help us with both sets, it really will.
So that's a nice way of saying I'm a guinea pig this year.
Yeah, Roger that. He said it.
He volunteered.
Yes, sir, but we do appreciate your help with that as well, so.
So I think that in September will be actually approval for the tool, and then it'll play what kind of feedback you're gonna get to make that decision with the like executive session.
Okay.
I think we talked about maybe during the work session to share a little more information with the entire
Absolutely.
board before it goes into
Yeah, I'd
the
like
actual.
to see a copy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, if I missed anything in that,
No, I forgot
think
the work session part, but
Right.
like I said, I knew I had something, but
Alright,
Thank you for your work.
next item is the Parks and Recs minutes. Many of you can click the link and read those in the agenda. We have July and August in there. That's just information. And then, we were talking about this before the meeting, we also have the PCED, so the Platte County Economic Development Board of Director minutes, which was a nice addition to our
I liked it,
reports.
I liked it a lot.
Helps us get a little bit more of what's going on in the county. Okay, and item B is policy evaluation, and we have none this month. So we will move into action items. Seeing no old business, we'll start with our new business. And item number 1 is the approval of the school meal prices. Yes, please.
So Marie Allison, our food service director, and I sat down and talked through a little bit about what the current prices are. So just so you know, K-5, it's $1.95 for breakfast, 6 through 8, $1.95 for breakfast, 9 through 12 is $1.95 for breakfast, and adult breakfast is $2.95. Then lunch currently for K-5 it's $3, for middle school it's $3.15, for high school it's $3.25, and adult lunch is $4.75. There is an extra charge for a second entree of $1.50, and a milk is 50 cents. So after talking a little bit, we kind of talked about, this is the first year coming out of COVID, last year was, where parents actually had to pay for their lunches. So it was kind of hard to get some of the free and reduced meals, those applications in. Some parents are still struggling with the idea of paying for school meals. We do have some additional debt at the end of the year because of lunches and breakfast. So along with everything, our recommendation is to keep the current meal prices the same for this year, and then next year analyze how much the food costs have actually went up in the district, and then make a determination what we should actually move those prices to. That's up to the school board, but that's our recommendation. Keep the prices the same.
So these prices are reflected, they're the same as they were last
Yep.
school year?
Yep.
Okay, that's right.
You have to go to the
Oh.
second page.
The second page.
Tells you on,
Okay.
it took
I was
a
like,
whole page.
That was not my page. Very good.
So the recommendation from the kitchen is to leave the prices the same. What would be,
I make the motion to approve the meal prices for 23-24 as stated.
I would second that.
just 1 moment, if I can get on my page, thank you, Mrs. Owen and Mrs. Johnson. Any discussion on the meal prices? Do you know, Mrs. Wilson, approximately what do we supplement the lunch program?
Currently we're budgeting 300,000.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Do you mean overall, or like what is our lunch debt?
I don't know what schools, do you have it, Jamie?
Yeah, so currently we're $2,139.61 in student. That's just students, that's not adults, that's just students.
In debt?
No, that's the amount of money, 2,000, yeah.
I don't understand.
So we have 37 students who have negative lunch balances.
Okay.
They can range
So it's,
from 25 cents to $375.
okay, and it totals about 2,100.
Correct.
Okay,
On
thank you.
students,
On students.
that's not, total.
And supplementing that is within our budget.
It's
Together, so yeah,
budgeted for, it is a budget item that we passed in July for the 300,000 to be able to move from general to lunch, general
General fund, yes.
to lunch. Any further discussion? Alright, so all those in favor of leaving the meal prices the same for the 23-24 school year, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, the prices will stay the same. Okay, item number 2 is the medication standing orders for school from the Wyoming Department of Education. Mr. Weigel, did you?
Yeah, I can explain a little bit. So the medication standing orders and protocols are available for schools to implement with the approval of their local school boards and a local physician. These were sent out, I believe, in May. I think it was just kind of missed or overlooked a little bit. So I had Tammy go out and kind of touch base with her right away. She's available for any questions you have, and I think she's also talked to Dr. Peasley, and he's signed those orders already. So if you have any questions, she's here to answer those for you. Pretty standard.
I have a question. Oh, it's.
Go ahead.
So the new app for the immunizations
Yes.
that we're using,
Mhm.
does your daily stuff tie to that?
Yes, that is, the app on that goes directly into what I look at in the computer. So if a parent brings in what's on the app and shows me that, we can print that or, whatever. I can go in on the computer too and look those up. That was a new thing from the state this year. They went through each of the schools and sent them out to the superintendents, the principals, who is the administrator. All of the nurses had to be trained to be in there this year. Previously, they just gave authorization to get into that. But yes, we do use that to update the immunizations for our students. If they're missing immunizations after the 30-day grace period from the first day of school, then we send out a conditional enrollment letter to the parents saying you're missing this and this vaccine. You have until this day to get those vaccines done for your child, or at least have an appointment if there's a waiting list for those appointments. Proof of that will allow the child to stay in school. Past that date, they will be excluded from school unless they fill a waiver out and get approval from the state. The state is the only one that can give the authorization.
Okay, let me clarify my question. So if Johnny needs a Band-Aid or eye drops and you document that, does it go into that same system or is
No.
it just immunization?
It's just immunization.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. That way. Thank you.
What is, generally speaking, what's the amount of time it takes for a family to get an exemption, maybe it's due to medical or other reasons?
Last year, when I was working, there was days that I had them the same day.
Oh.
There was times where it was a 2 to 3 week wait period. But if I sent it to the state and got a hold of Tiffany Thomason and told her, hey, I need this one, there's a conditional enrollment out, she would authorize that student to stay in school until they could get that signed
So,
and taken care of through the state.
so there is a pathway for them to
There is a
stay.
definite pathway,
Okay.
and it's a very specific pathway for the nurses at the schools to follow the state regulations to bring the district into compliance with that.
And so then, you keep in contact with the parent to make sure that they
Yes, I do.
understand what.
I send the letter out, the first letter goes with the student. Lots of times I will also email an electronic copy of that to the parent. Halfway through that period of time to the end date where the student's gonna be expelled or excluded, I like to make a phone conversation with the parent, I document that. And then I am in contact with the superintendent also. Hey, Johnny is missing XYZ vaccine. I let the principal of the building know that too, so that the team is a cohesive unit and we're moving forward together as a team.
Thanks.
I messed that one up. We had a little discussion before we had a motion on that one, but that's okay. The medication standing orders for school. I would entertain a motion for,
I will make a motion for medication standing orders for schools by the Wyoming Department of Education.
thank you, Mr. Urban.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoffman. Now, any further discussion on the medication standing orders for school?
Are Band-Aids documented in any way?
Yes.
Okay.
They are, this year, the Wyoming Department of Education added WDE 534. We have to count every instant a student reports to the nurse's office for anything. A Band-Aid for a boo-boo that's a week old, for ice packs, for anything. So Mr. Weigel and I came up with the Google form, all of the principals are on board with that, the secretaries and everybody, and we're all working together as a team to comply with that.
So you don't have to count the Band-Aids, right? We just have to count when a student comes.
We count when the student comes.
Do you call 911? Do you go back to the classroom?
Right.
Do you call the parents?
But if they come to the office, we also document why that student is there.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your work and your teamwork.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the medication standing orders for school, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. We will move on to Item 3, approval of the WHSAA membership application and activity enrollment.
It's just an application, kind of tells you the number of activities or athletics we're gonna have, and then the cost that we need to pay the Wyoming High School Association.
Madam Chair, I would move for the approval of Wyoming High School Activities Association's membership application and activity enrollment.
I'd like to second that. All right, thank you. Any discussion? Look in the packet, it goes over, like Mr. Weigel said, you've got all of the sports that we've participates in and what the amount is for a total of $2,620 due the State High School Activities Association. Okay. Any discussion?
And do the kids pay for some of that, right? The kids do not pay for some of that.
This is what we pay for the privilege of our children participating in sport. It is, there's art, DECA drama, Skills USA, Spirit, speech, student council, wrestling, outdoor track, golf, football, cross country, basketball, boys and girls, so. Softball, wrestling. Any other discussion or questions? in favor of approving the WHSAA membership application and activity enrollment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. All right, next, number 4, the approval of the vision, mission, and belief statement. This is something we've been working on for a couple months.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve the vision, mission, and belief statement.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Alright, any discussion on it? Spent a lot of time at our last workshop going over this.
You can read it if you want to.
Alright, so our vision statement is, we continued with reach the peak with the letters meaning prepared, engaged, active, and knowledgeable. The mission statement reads, our mission is to ensure that each student is engaged, challenged, connected, supported, and celebrated. We believe that our educators, stakeholders, parents, and guardians all play a vital role in the education of our children. We will foster an environment where parents and guardians will be encouraged to take an active role in the education of our students. And our belief statement says, our schools will provide a positive learning environment and support needed for continued learning and growth of all students and staff. Teachers will empower students with truth and understanding necessary to make wise choices in an ever-changing world. We will provide opportunities to exhibit leadership, apply knowledge, and use critical thinking skills. Our diverse instructional programs will have an emphasis on excelling in reading, writing, and math, but also provide opportunities to learn life skills that could lead to a future career. Local control will be utilized to meet the unique needs of our community. Our students will be encouraged to take an active role in their academic, social, and emotional development. To prepare for the future, we will provide opportunities that foster grit and resiliency. Students will be encouraged to do their best work along with fostering character traits to enhance being a good citizen. Every member of our valuable team will be united with the understanding that a strong team is necessary to establish effective communication, support of goals, and the commitment to staff's and student growth and development. Boy, am I really glad we got that whittled down to 4 instead of like 6 or 7
Good work.
paragraphs. And I think everybody's favorite sentence was the fostered grit and resiliency.
There you go.
All right, any discussion on that, board members? Any discussion, comments? All right, all those in favor of adopting the vision, mission, and belief statements, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. We will move on to memorandum of understanding for school resource officers, item number 5.
Yeah, can I introduce Sheriff David Russell, who wants to come up for a minute? And Christina Magnum, she's gonna be the SRO here in Buck County. I'm gonna introduce you to these two and they can talk a little bit about the program maybe, so.
So thanks for having us. So we've been working, part of my goals when I was campaigning was to get an SRO in the schools. I was working on grants. I was able to get one grant that partially funded a position. The county commissioners told me we're gonna take the money, but we're not gonna give you the position. So basically, I'm giving up a position out of my detention center because this is important to me. I have kids in the school district. So Christina will be your guys' SRO, but we don't have a full-time position. We'll be sharing that between school district 1 and 2. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, she'll be over here. Mondays and Wednesdays, she'll be at District 2, and then Fridays will rotate based on if she has follow-up to do at one of the school districts, so. Anything you'd like to add?
Hi.
And so where this is a position we're having to pull from another area, she won't be starting. School District 1, her first day will be the 29th. And she was gonna meet with the superintendent, who's gonna take her around to all the principals and kind of introduce her and see what their needs are and stuff like that, so.
Super exciting.
I can it'll be good. I'm still working on a few other grants, I haven't heard if we get that, then hopefully I'll still give up this position and then we'll try and get a second one, so you guys would have a full-time in school district too. That's my end goal in all of this, but it's slow steps, so.
Great.
Very good,
Sure.
good start.
Thank you so much.
She'll be in the uniform she's wearing right now, so.
See is what you get.
Awesome, thank you.
What can we do for a grant application towards this? It has to be through them.
I'm not aware of any currently, I don't know if there's some out there, might be more.
Yeah, I haven't saw any on the school side, lots of it on the school side is for, as far as infrastructure, camera systems, fencing and stuff like that, it isn't for physical bodies in the schools currently. It was back in 2001, back when the county used to have it, there was, and I looked for that same grant, and it's no longer a thing, so.
There are some Title IV funds you could use for safety purposes, and we're talking about, so if we needed to, in the future, we could look at that.
Go with the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
Good. Something else.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for your hard work.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Entertain a motion for approval of a memorandum of understanding for school resource officer.
I'll make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding.
I'll second
For rural resource officer, if I said all that right?
And I'll second it.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, or any discussion? Sorry. All right, all those in favor of approval of the memorandum of understanding, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. All right. Now we will move on to item number 6, the approval of the lease agreement with Prairie View Charter School.
So we ran this by our legal counsel, they gave me a couple things to secure up a little bit. There was just a couple little suggestions that Scott had. We did add to this the printing requirements that they would pay for printing. We do have a contract until December, so they would pay what would normally be the cost out of Chugwater. If there's extra charges, they would pay those, they go over the limits for that printer or printing situation, the copy machine. That was really the only changes, along with the monthly cost. I think originally we had it a little higher and we kind of settled at $2,500 a month. In addition to that would be all the other costs to kind of maintain that building and some of the work in terms of utilities, grounds, food service, transportation, special education, telecommunication, fire systems, and I mentioned the copy machine. Those will all be up to the charter school to complete those payments to the school district, or pay themselves. We'll work that out.
Entertaining a motion to approve the lease agreement with Prairie View.
I would make a motion to approve the lease agreement with Prairie View Charter School.
I will second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
They have what do they have now? What's the thing called, their temporary access, what's that called?
Building use?
Building use. Did you make that with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm confused on why we are approving this now when they started school this morning.
Well, they're using the
Building use.
because we didn't have this in place, it had to go through legal, so we had to have something in place for them to be able to get started on the school.
Didn't the state
Because
approve?
the last,
They said it was adequate and available back a couple months ago. The other one is with timing with fair and smells. We were gonna have a special board meeting when it came available, but we only had a couple days before this board meeting, so we just felt like we'd make it part of this board meeting for approval.
pretty sure we talked about it last.
So then using it now is just retroactive as they pay this, what's on the
I
lease.
think it says it pays, I think at the end of the month.
Yeah, so it just works out.
We didn't allow us to give them an opportunity to get organized, start, we knew school was right on the corner.
We had our administrative team come back. We just felt like for the students at Chugwater, they deserve to have kind of an organized start of school.
Yeah.
And we felt like using one of our facilities, just like anybody else could do a building use, kind of made sense, so.
And didn't we approve to go forward with it at the last board meeting? It
Yes,
was
with the
approved as
list.
a board,
Mhm.
in July's board meeting.
So my other question is, did we ever get any clarification on what happens with the major maintenance next year? If we do not renew this next year? Do they keep the major maintenance money or does that come back to us?
I'm sure it
Did we
stays
ever
in the
get-
building, I'm just guessing, that's
The
my
building?
guess, but if it stays with the building, I'm guessing we don't use it with the building, it's our building, those funds were designed for that building, even though we can prioritize within the district, but that's how they generate those funds for major maintenance.
So if they get into a different building, then they'd have their own major maintenance based on that building, I would assume.
But that's my hang up, the assumption. That wasn't at you, I'm talking.
Yeah.
But that's,
I think through this whole process, the state hasn't been real clear in
Right.
some of the situations. I would just guess that's part of the building, the people who are leasing it leave, and we go with them because it's generated by the square footage of the building.
yeah. So the temporary write-up was basically the core of what we're approving tonight? But not the
Can you clarify, I'm not sure what.
the lease that is right here.
Okay.
So was the temporary that they've been using just,
It was a building use they had used to use a facility from 7 AM to 7 PM.
From whatever the starting date was
I
until
think it was
the
the
lease.
27th to the 27th, I believe.
With anticipating having this done before the 27th. Any further questions, comments? Last time, last chance. Alright, all of those in favor of approval of the lease agreement with Prairie View Charter School signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
Nope.
Right, and the ayes have it. Alright, we will moving on. To approval of rental agreement for transitional students, this is what Mrs. McGuire was talking about, right?
Brown.
Mrs. Brown.
Sorry, that was a flip, sorry.
I still answer
The
to it.
McGuires.
Sounded right to me.
There's my name in there, it's in the lease.
Oh my goodness, the other one.
Yeah. It's with McGuire.
I didn't even catch it.
It's her maiden name.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I didn't even catch that it was wrong, so I just laughed.
Oh my goodness. Now, it's 9,000 for the year, right? Yeah,
For
okay,
1 year.
for 1 year. Because it's going on about
It's
the 10th of the month for all payments received at the 10th of the month.
Can I get a motion before we discuss?
I'll make a motion to approve the rental
Thank you.
agreement for the
I'll second
transitional
that.
students.
Okay,
Sorry
now
about that.
Now you can.
For discussion, it's 9,000 a year, and they're going on about the month payment, all month payments received after the 10th of the month. So that's why I asked, it's 9,000 for the year, okay. Okay, she's gonna talk to us about it.
Any other questions, comments? Alright, all those in favor of approval of the rental agreement for transitional students signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. And we will move on to item 8, approval of isolation reimbursement request.
Actually, we had one family that completed an application, they live out of town, not close to any kind of stop, so that's a hardship is what the state considers that, so they would be able to bring their child all the way into town. The reimbursement is up to 2 miles, so not within 2 miles or going out 2 miles, that's how it's calculated. That application goes into Jamie, we check with Blaine will actually check on, make sure that's a place of residence, he also checks the mileage, and then comes forward as this application, so.
They did verify the mileage.
I think Blaine did.
It still says pending.
Or pending maybe? He normally, I think he has a little connection to the assessor's office to get the bills available and those things, so he's pretty solid, they're living there, I think he knows that.
I mapped it, and it's 20 miles one way.
36 miles
36.
one way.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can we have a motion before we discuss?
Oh.
Here we go.
Is that how
Dang
it
it.
works?
We're gonna get this part recorded.
All around us.
I'll make a motion for the
Thank you.
approval of isolation reimbursement request.
I'll second that.
So,
Okay, now you can.
Well, I'm not saying that it's right, my maps are right either, I just wanted to know,
Well,
like,
it-
how they verify that.
Jamie has a note on here that the mileage is pending verification, so I don't think they're gonna go with whatever they find out is
Yeah.
accurate.
Yep. I think it was adjusted for the first application because when we looked at that, so.
And I have no qualms with paying either, you gotta drive forever away.
Just for a 5-year-old too. It's a lot of miles.
It's a lot of years,
Yeah, it's a lot of years.
possibly.
Any other discussion? Questions on the reimbursement? All those in favor of the approval of the isolation reimbursement request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. All right. Last one, approval of personnel hiring.
Yeah, so you have a list of staff that were hired after our last board meeting, and it also stated who they replaced, all those kinds of things, so it's pretty clear, so.
Very clear. I appreciate that.
So I will make the motion to accept that before we discuss.
Thank you, Mrs. Eller.
Thanks, Connie.
I'll second. Teachable.
We learn slow.
All right, and we have the list in our packet, so everybody hopefully has looked at it. Any questions, comments?
I really appreciate how this is set up. It's never been clearer.
Okay, so I do, the Wheatland High School secretary, so this is just an additional quarter secretary?
Yeah, so we lost the person who actually went out to be the preschool teacher instead of filling that full-time. It's only a 0.25, and she also does the EWC part of it, so we actually reduced a little bit there. I talked to Josh a little bit how to maybe utilize those funds maybe for an accompanist, I'm not sure where he's at with that, but once we had it in the budget, we said we could just shift that money to find some money to pay an accompanist, that's kind of what our plan was, so. Josh was pretty creative, talking through some of those things, so. Trying to stay within our budget.
Are we still short on bus drivers?
We had one bus driver actually quit before she started, she was hired and then she never actually drove for us, so they had to adjust one of the routes just a little bit, so.
So we're
Like,
still
those are
okay
pretty
with
good.
bus drivers?
Yeah. It's always gonna be a challenge a little bit, but we're running the routes. Our new maintenance person also has a CDL, so he's willing to step in and drive it if we need to, so, yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions or comments on personnel? All those in favor of approval of the personnel hiring signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Alright. Under advanced planning, we have a board meeting September 18th and the work session September 11th. At the work session, we will be working on policies and how we review them as well as student handbook review. School starts Wednesday, the 23rd. Anything else you'd like to add?
That's it. Actually, Madam Chairman, on work session September 11, probably a little blurb on superintendent evaluation.
Okay, perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we'll probably also talk a little bit about the middle school roughing project with Dan O'Days from Plan One. He'll probably be part of that work session also.
Also, are we completely clear on what we're doing and we're doing the building with BOCES and where we are?
Yeah, we can talk through that a little bit if you want to at a work session too, but I think the move was pretty close to the start of school, so you're worried about having the manpower to move everything.
Yeah.
So when Robert called and told me that, we just said, well, we can pick another time, maybe it's Christmas time where we have the manpower to help move everything and for our staff and allow their staff to move their stuff.
Or do we wanna make a move at Christmas? I mean, can they just,
We can talk about it.
yeah, that's just, okay.
Alright, make a move to adjourn the meeting. Alright, motion.
One second.
Okay, there's a motion to adjourn. Any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Meeting adjourned, thank you.